trends you're seeing in each.
So I'll start with Fifth Avenue, because it's the one that we remain bullish in spite of macro headwinds, and we're big believers in the unique nature of the Upper Fifth Avenue retail corridor, supply constrained, as you mentioned. I think there are headwinds. I think there's a lot of truth to what Rich and Laura is saying and have been saying, and in spite of that, I think there's strength in that market. So that, I think, is a general broad stroke on Fifth Avenue. I think Times Square continues to surprise us all. When rents broke $1,000 a foot in Times Square, we said, wow, that's pretty amazing. It's Times Square. There were peep shows here 20 years ago, and now real retailers are paying $1,000 a foot. And I think today everybody's comfortable saying the number 2,000 a foot in Times Square. The fundamentals behind that are strong. Every tourist that comes to New York City, I believe, if they're not on Fifth Avenue, they're in Times Square, depending on what segment of the tourist market they are. And to me, those are the two stalwarts of our retail economy in New York from a strength perspective. Soho has had its ups and downs, depending on how far back you go in history, in the market. Pre-9/11, post-9/11, there has been a lot of growth in that market. I think there is a peak there. I think it is starting to settle down. And I think there are good fundamental reasons for the cooling off there. I think it got ahead of itself. So if you look at Broadway and Soho, I think it's oversupplied, probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 spaces chasing any retailer that has demand for the market. So I do think the Broadway corridor at Soho especially is seeing weakness. I think the luxury side streets, Princeton Spring in particular, have shown strength, but again, very small markets, very supply constrained. I'm extremely bullish on downtown around the World Trade Center, the opening of the Fulton Transit Hub, the upcoming opening of all the transit mechanisms and all the World Trade Center buildings. I think that market's best days are ahead of itself for retail in particular. And I think Herald Square is one of the unknown great retail markets in the world. Where else do you have an anchor store that does $1 billion in sales? You have a Macy's that's a square block doing $1 billion in sales. That's more than some of the greatest shopping centers in the world do in the aggregate, and we have one store doing it. So my friend to the left owns a little bit of property around there, so kudos to him for owning a lot of it. But Herald Square is also one of the great retail markets.
Well,